Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to get to the heart of what you need to know.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're diving into something really quite current and pretty unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 1972 military-style Jeep AMC, right? It used to belong to Rex Heuermann, the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer.
Okay.
And it's actually up on eBay right now. The money goes to his ex-wife, Asa Elrup.
Wow. And are they hiding the connection?
No, that's the striking part. The listing explicitly mentions its history. It's aimed right at true crime buffs.
Seriously?
Yeah. And apparently it's working. It got almost 900 views in just like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Bids hit $5,100 by Tuesday, July 1st.
Well, it's a stark reminder, isn't it, that even with these awful cases, life just sort of keeps going and these details become, well, artifacts, sometimes even commodities, like you said.
Exactly. And it's those kinds of unexpected things, the Jeep or, even a pizza crust, that are key to what we're doing today. We're going to unpack this really complex, decades-long Gilgo Beach case. We'll focus on the evidence that led to Heuermann's arrest, look into his alleged methods, which are chilling, and also the family's reaction, which is complex.
Very complex, often contradictory.
Our goal here is really to just distill the critical facts, connect the dots for you, and help you grasp the whole scope of this thing without getting totally overwhelmed.
It's a big one.
It is. So, okay, let's unpack this. How a vintage Jeep, a pizza crust, and a daughter's changing views are all tangled up in one of New York's biggest mysteries.
It really is a case where these tiny, seemingly mundane details ended up cracking this baffling mystery. And it forces you to think about how families cope when faced with truths like this. Unimaginable truths.
Absolutely. Let's start with the background, the long shadow of Gilgo Beach. A quick history. It all really kicks off back in May 2010.
Right. Police were searching for Shanann Gilbert, a missing sex worker.
And while they were looking for her, they stumbled onto something much bigger and much darker.
That's exactly it. They found 10 sets of human remains, 8 women, 1 man, and a toddler just scattered along Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. This was between December 2010 and April 2011.
And Shanann Gilbert's own case adds another layer of complexity, doesn't it?
It really does. There's that chilling 911 call she made saying they were going to kill her.
But the official ruling was accidental drowning.
Initially, yes.
Oh.
But an independent autopsy suggested strangulation. And that difference, that discrepancy, is still a huge point of contention for her family. It shows the challenges right from the very start.
Definitely. And then just days after those first finds in December 2010, they found 4 more victims very quickly.
The Gilgo Four, as they became known, Melissa Barthelemy, Amber Lynn Costello, Megan Waterman, and Maureen Brainard-Barnes, all identified as sex workers and often found wrapped in burlap.
That burlap became a sort of signature.
It did.
But for years after that, the case just stalled. There was so much frustration.
A huge amount. Reports of issues between different police agencies, leads maybe not followed up properly.
And the families just waiting for answers that never seemed to come. It's hard to imagine.
It is. And remember, police initially even suggested it probably wasn't just one person responsible for all of them.
Right, which just shows how confusing and difficult the early investigation must have been.
Yeah, that initial, maybe fragmented approach definitely didn't help. It really needed someone to come in with fresh eyes, look at everything again.
Which eventually happened. And that led to this unexpected breakthrough, didn't it? It started with revisiting an old tip.
Exactly. A really crucial tip that got overlooked. Amber Costello's roommate, Dave Schaller.
What did he say again?
Back in 2010, he described seeing a guy driving a first-generation Chevy Avalanche. Described the driver as this towering Frankenstein-like figure.
Okay, but with so many tips coming in, how did that one suddenly click years later?
Well, like you said, it just got lost in the flood of information for a long time. But this new task force, an interagency one formed in January 2022, they went back through everything in spring 2022.
Methodically.
Yes. And they connected Schaller's description, that specific truck model, to Rex Heuermann. He owned one. It really highlights how vital it is to reassess old evidence sometimes.
And then technology played a huge part, especially with the phone.
Oh, absolutely. The burner phones. That was key.
Tell us about that. How did they link those burner phones used to contact the victims back to Heuermann?
So investigators found that these burner phones consistently pinged off the same cell towers as Heuermann's legitimate cell phone.
Where?
In 2 main areas. Midtown Manhattan, right near his architecture office, and Massapequa Park, where he lived.
creating a sort of digital map.
A digital breadcrumb trail, exactly. It tied his known locations to these burner phones.
And it gets even more disturbing, right? Because the killer didn't just use burner phones to contact them.
No. This part is incredibly chilling. He actually took the victims' own cell phones, specifically Melissa Barthelomy's and Maureen Brainard-Barnes' phones.
And used them to call the families.
Yes. Made these awful, taunting calls to family members, basically gloating about the murders.
Just unbelievable cruelty.
And crucially, those calls from the victims' phones also pinged off cell towers near Heuermann's Manhattan office.
So another direct link.
Wow. A very powerful, very disturbing link. And then, on top of the cell data, you have the DNA.
Or the forensic science breakthrough. Tell us about the hair evidence.
Okay, so back in 2010, they found a male hair on the burlap that was wrapping Megan Waterman's body. At the time, DNA tech wasn't quite there to get a full profile from it.
But technology improved.
Exactly. By 2020, they could analyze it properly, but they needed something to compare it to.
Enter the pizza crust.
Enter the pizza crust. In January 2023, a surveillance team was watching Heuermann. They grabbed a pizza box he threw out outside his Manhattan office.
And got his DNA from it.
They did. And it was a match to the male hair found on Megan Waterman's burlap wrapping back in 2010.
Incredible. Connecting a decade-old piece of evidence to him through basically his lunch trash.
It was a huge moment in the investigation. And there was other DNA evidence, too, involving his ex-wife.
Right. The female hairs found on some of the victims.
Yes. Hairs found on 3 victims were eventually matched to Asa Ellerup, his then-wife. They got her comparison DNA from discarded bottles.
But they determined she wasn't involved.
Correct. Investigators established she was actually out of state when those specific murders occurred. So the thinking is her DNA transferred onto the victims indirectly.
How? Like from his clothes or the house?
Exactly. Transfer from shared items, clothing, household surfaces. It points to him being the source, carrying her DNA from their shared environment to the crime scenes.
Okay, we should probably mention the legal challenge here, though. The defense is pushing back on the DNA tech itself, right?
They are. They're questioning the admissibility of the specific methods used, whole genome sequencing and mitochondrial DNA analysis. They argue it's too novel, maybe not generally accepted enough in the scientific community yet.
And that's being reviewed now.
Yes, there's what's called a Fry hearing underway, started around March 2025. It's basically a court process to decide if this newer scientific evidence meets the standard to be presented at trial in New York.
So the outcome of that hearing could be really significant for the prosecution's case.
Definitely. It's a major hurdle they need to clear. But beyond the DNA, the digital evidence paints an even more disturbing picture.
You're talking about the planning document.
Yes. Recovered from a hard drive in his basement in March 2024, it seems to date back to around 2004.
And prosecutors are calling it a blueprint for murder. What's in it?
It's incredibly methodical, almost like a business plan for killing. It has sections titled pre-prep, body prep, post-event.
With checklists.
Checklists, yes. Columns for problems, things like DNA risk, fiber risk, supplies lists, acid, saw, burn can, notes on DS dump sites, even TRG for targets with a note saying, small is good.
That level of cold calculation is horrifying.
It really is. It suggests someone who wasn't just acting impulsively, but meticulously planning these acts, managing risk like a project manager.
And there was that lessons learned section, too.
Yeah, things to remember, lessons learned. Entries like hit harder, use heavier rope, get sleep before hunt, even interior sound dampening tactics.
Chilling. And wasn't there a note about dismemberment?
Yes, the body prep checklist included a note to remove head and hands. Prosecutors believe this connects him directly to Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack,
whose remains were found dismembered in different locations.
Exactly. Taylor in 2003, Mack back in 2000. And this document, this blueprint, suggests that was part of the plan.
Did he try to hide this document?
Oh yeah, he'd apparently tried to delete it. Investigators also found books by the FBI profiler John Douglas in his house, Mindhunter, The Cases That Haunt Us.
Suggesting he was studying this stuff.
It certainly suggests an interest, maybe even trying to learn how investigators think, how killers operate.
And his online activity. More disturbing finds there, too.
Deeply disturbing. Prosecutors called his online searches obsessive. He was constantly looking up information about the Gilgo Beach case itself.
Searching for his own alleged crimes.
Seems like it. Searching specific victim names, news articles, podcasts about the case, even asking questions like, why could law enforcement not trace the calls? Or why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been caught?
Wow. It's like he was tracking the investigation into himself.
It appears that way. And the searches weren't just about the case. They found huge amounts of searches for sadistic torture-related pornography.
Including images involving children.
Yes. Graphic images of children, searches like girl hog-tied torture porn, 10-year-old schoolgirl, just a really dark digital footprint.
It paints a horrific picture. And all of this, inevitably, has had a massive impact on his family. They're actually talking about it now.
They are. There's that Peacock docuseries, The Gilgo Beach Killer, House of Secrets, which came out in June 2025. Features interviews with Asa Ellerup, the ex-wife, and their daughter, Victoria.
Asa Ellerup. Her reaction seems to be one of, well, strong denial.
Very strong. She was married to him for almost 30 years. They divorced in April 2025. She still calls him her hero, a family man.
Didn't she say she wouldn't believe it unless he confessed to her face?
She did. Quote, "I would need to hear it from Rex face to face that he killed these girls for me to believe it." She called the blueprint document absurd, seems skeptical about the porn evidence, too.
Her lawyer did say the divorce was about protecting assets, but still, that level of defense is hard to square with the evidence.
It's incredibly difficult to understand from the outside. The docuseries director mentioned she sees it as a search, trying to reconcile the man she knew with these accusations, constantly replaying memories.
It sounds like an impossible position. Did she mention anything specific that seemed odd in retrospect?
She did mention one thing, an unusual bathroom renovation he did back in July 2009. She and the kids were away in Iceland, and he just suddenly redid a bathroom. That time frame lines up roughly with when one of the victims disappeared.
Huh, it's interesting. But the daughter, Victoria, her perspective seems different. Or it evolved.
It seems to have evolved, yes. She was quite young when the main Gilgo 4 killings happened, maybe 10 to 13, and the family was apparently often out of town then. Initially, she said she was on the fence.
Understandable.
But later, after seeing more of the evidence presented, she told the producers she most likely believes her father did it.
Wow. That must have been an incredibly difficult conclusion for her to reach.
Unimaginably difficult. It really shows the power of the evidence weighing even on those closest to him, the psychological toll on that family.
You can only imagine. Their house was searched twice, right? Left in a total mess.
Total disarray, yes. And they ended up moving away to South Carolina, apparently for financial reasons.
It really drives home how the families of people accused of these kinds of crimes become, as you said, collateral damage.
Absolutely. They inherit this shame, this scrutiny, this guilt, none of which is their fault.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Look at the bigger picture, the remaining mysteries, and where the case stands legally. He's charged with 7 murders now.
7, yes. The Gilgo 4 Costello, Waterman, Barthélemy, Brainard-Barnes, plus Sandra Castilla, Jessica Taylor, and Valerie Mack.
But there were 11 sets of remains found in total.
Correct, which leaves several victims still officially unconnected to Heuermann, at least through charges.
Including Asian Doe.
Right, still unidentified. A biological male found wearing women's clothing, estimated 17 to 23, died from blunt force trauma, possibly a sex worker, maybe of Han Chinese descent. The effort to identify him is ongoing.
And there was also Tanya Denise Jackson, Peaches, and her daughter.
It's Peaches, and her 2-year-old daughter, Tatiana Marie Dykes. Their remains were also found in the area, but again, no current evidence links Heuermann to their deaths.
So there are still pieces of this puzzle missing.
Definitely. It's possible not all the remains found are connected to the same killer.
And legally, what's next for Heuermann?
He's pleaded not guilty to all 7 charges. He's being held without bail. The judge recently made a key ruling.
Which was?
That all 7 murder charges will be tried together. The defense wanted to sever them, try them separately.
But the judge said no. Why?
The judge cited consistency across the cases, the methodology, the geography, the type of victims, the shared forensic evidence like the DNA. Trying them together allows the prosecution to present that alleged pattern.
When might a trial actually happen?
That's uncertain. Some experts think it won't happen until investigators are sure they've considered all potential victims who might be linked to him.
To avoid finding new evidence later and having to potentially start over or add charges midstream.
Exactly. To make sure the trial is comprehensive and avoids future disruptions. So the investigation might still be ongoing in some ways.
It's a long road ahead.
A very long, painstaking road towards justice.
So wrapping this up for you, our listener, what does this all really mean? The Gilgo Beach case, especially now, with Heuermann at the center, it's just a chilling reminder, isn't it? This complex dance between secrets kept for years, incredible forensic science breakthroughs, and the huge, devastating impact on everyone involved.
It really is. It's a story that's still unfolding, peeling back layers of this deeply disturbing narrative. And it reminds us, again, how tiny details, a truck description, a pizza crust, can unlock these enormous mysteries.
It certainly does. And it kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? Something to chew on.
Which is?
How well can we ever really know the people closest to us? What hidden parts of their lives might just stay hidden forever? Unless something forces them out into this harsh spotlight.
That idea of the double life.
Exactly. And the incredibly long, winding path that justice sometimes has to take.